What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Black man says small American farms have always been a scam. And I 100% agree. And I must say, he has an awesome mustache. Awesome. All right. But what he's talking about and what he's going to say much better than me, because, you know, he is an American farmer, is that the idea of a small American farm, that idea we got in our heads when politicians like to say they're doing this for the small farmer, the small farmer's this, that small farmer, right? That small farmer is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that owns millions of hectares of land, all right? The small farmers you're thinking about are micro farmers, right? They are miniature micro farmers that barely make a dent in the agricultural industry, right? But they do that and they get subsidized by the federal government in order to make their small little miniature contributions. That's why you're seeing all the little small farmers who are insignificant in the grand scheme of things as far as big corporation is concerned. That's why they're being crushed, because these small farmers that everybody likes to, you know, feel sorry for are multi-billion-dollar corporations that, you know, it started off in slavery. I just want to let you guys know that slavery is, you know, those were small farmers, right? Slavery was small, and we were the guys doing the working before they got the Mexicans to do it, right? But you need to understand that small farmers are not really small farmers, and these small farmers are effectively buying up all the rest of the goddamn land from the micro miniature farmers, right, in order to expand their small farming operations. The same way they like to say small businesses, when small businesses are really not small business, they're multi-billion-dollar international corporations. Anyway, I'm gonna let this guy say it better than me. It's Afro Think Tank. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
All right, I'm gonna hold everybody's hands here about a topic that I devote almost a third of my book to, which is that small family farms, that whole notion is a scam. And it's not just a scam, it's like the original American scam. And it's a scam in two ways. Number one, it's a scam in the sense that we tend to believe that farming used to be like lots and lots of small farms, and then over time the country kind of lost its way and things gave way to big corporate mega farms. That is not true. The United States has always been agriculturally a large-scale cash crop economy. It's just that it used to be plantations, and then that gave way to corporate agribusiness dominating the agricultural sector. There was never a sweet spot where most people were fed by small farms, except for certain places in the country where most people were homesteaders and their lives were miserable. And the lives of miserable homesteaders brings us to the second part of the scam, which is that small farming, when promoted, was always a way for rich people to convince desperate people, usually desperate white people, to populate a dangerous landscape for their benefit. And one of my favorite stories to illustrate this principle involves none other than George Washington. And yes, that George Washington. George Washington, who before he became president, before America was even America, formed a company with his brothers and the governor of Virginia and several people who wound up signing the Declaration of Independence, called the Ohio Company of Virginia. That company got a charter from the King of England, who said you can have hundreds of thousands of acres in the Ohio Valley country, and you can have hundreds of thousands of acres more if you can settle 700 families in what is effectively a wilderness, so that we can know what the French are doing up there and what the Indians are doing up there. Okay, so you see what's going on there, right? You've got George Washington and a bunch of colonial aristocrats who stand to become extremely wealthy by having all of these hundreds of thousands of acres put into a company that they own. You have the King of England, who has the chance to like double the size of his empire, okay, and stick his thumb in the eye of the French just for good measure. And the pawns on this chessboard are poor white people who are going to be sent out west into hostile territory to be small farmers to benefit all these rich people. Same thing happens for the Homestead Act. All right, everybody knew there was some wealth to be had out there. The power brokers back east knew that there was something to be had out there. There was tax revenue to be had. There was something to be exported out of there, something to create wealth for the businesses back east. So what do? They send everybody who's considered expendable out that way. So this time it's poor whites, all these new immigrants that are coming in from Ireland, from Scotland, etc. They even send free blacks out there, unmarried women. It looks like this fit of like progressive opportunity, but no, it's a list of everybody that's expendable. Send them out there to deal with the Sioux, the Comanche, the weather, the tornadoes, and whatever else the hell is out there, and let's see what happens. And so you had all these mostly desperate families packing up their little Oregon Trail wagons and heading out west for 160 acres that the people back east knew damn well most of them aren't going to make it. They knew they weren't going to make it. They were counting on most of them not making it. They just needed somebody to park on the land, spark Indian wars so that you'd have a pretext for taking more of the land, and see what natural resources are out there, whether it's agricultural products, it could be oil, it could be gold, it could be whatever. The small family farm was just the unit of organization that was used to populate this hostile landscape for the benefit of rich people back east. And even today, most of the people telling you that you should do small scale farming are not making their living doing small scale farming. They're making their living running their mouths, selling courses and seminars and master classes. They're not actually doing the thing that they're trying to convince you to do for a living. So I'm sorry, small farming has always been a grift foisted upon people who have less by people looking to accumulate more. So when you look for a context where people were actually happy in farming, and it didn't involve just one happy person sitting wealthy as hell at the top of a plantation, farmed by a bunch of slaves or serfs or something like it, and it wasn't a bunch of homesteaders who maybe had their 160 acres but were constantly afraid of death and starvation, etc. It's usually going to be in larger scale farms that are farmed and worked and owned by lots and lots and lots of people. Creating this larger farm agribusiness organization that can make people happy and get people fed affordably and not abuse the environment and not abuse people without relying on nostalgia and BS around small farms and overcorrections when it comes to corporations or anything. That's what my book is about. And my business is basically my book playing out in real life in real time. And I don't know exactly how it's going to play out in the end. It's going very well right now. There's a lot of uncertainty around a lot of things right now. Who knows how it's going to work out? But I do know this. I know, based on my 12, 13 years in this business now, that small farms are a playground for the rich and the privileged. I'd bet my whole life on it.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.